there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I'm going to have a lot of fun DIY home decor crafty goodness for you today. Like, seriously, how long can my sentence get? What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some DIY Rustic Farmhouse winter crafts, so let's get started with project number 1. For this project from Dollar Tree, I'm going to use this candle holder, and I'm going to use one of these little signs. They come in like a packet of 4 or 6. One of these home decor pieces, anything like this that you can kind of flip to use for like a container will work. I'm going to use a couple different sizes of the styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree, and then some of these pipe cleaners in white. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm take my glue gun, kind of poke it into the styrofoam to make a little hole and add some glue, and then poke in the pipe cleaner. And then just let that set up for a minute till it hardens. And then the next thing I like to do is I'm just going to start covering these styrofoam balls, of course, as you can see with the pipe cleaner. And what I like to do first is just kind of make the shape of the pipe cleaner going around and around before I start adding the hot glue. It's a little bit easier. Please, 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 I could not find my finger protectors. I hot glued, burned, whatever, my fingers a lot with this, so make sure you have some hot glue protectors on. I at least found my little silicone spatula, and that helped a little bit, but you're definitely, because that hot glue is going to kind of seep out around the pipe cleaner, so protect your fingers, please. Right there, I burnt my finger when I was trying to get it off. Okay, so you're just going to keep going around. Now, these smaller size balls take about 3.5 kind of pipe cleaners. The bigger ones take about 4.5, so you're going to kind of want, you know, the big bag of pipe cleaners. And then when you just come to the end of one, just, you know, add a little dab of glue and connect with the new pipe cleaner and continue all the way around. It's really easy. I just thought, I mean, I've done snowballs and I've taught it to you guys a few years ago using, you know, the salt and glitter method. You Mod Podge and pour that on, and I love that look the best. But I wanted to do this because I thought it's something a little different, a little bit different texture, and I think it kind of turns out cool. And don't worry, we're not just going to rely on the pipe cleaners when we're done. We'll make it look a little bit snowy here. So again, continuing this all the way around till you get to the tip top here, and then I even add like just a tiny piece here, boom, of pipe cleaner to shove in there. So I'm going to be using this Snowflake. I'll put a link down below. I got it off the Amazon. My cousin and I split it. It's about $25 for a 2-pound bag. And then, you know, $12.50 is really affordable, and I'm about 3 years in and haven't even used half of it. So I have a little, like, sifter kind of strainer thing, and I sprayed a little on the paper down below. And whenever you start out with this, you want to wet your project first and then sift or pour your roll in, whatever you want. Get your Snowflake on there and do as many layers as you want, but in between layers, you need to spray with the water. Okay, so I get it where I want it, and then the last thing I want to do is roll it in it, and once you get the last bit on there you want, you have to spray it again with water to seal it, and then let it dry. And I know it looks funny here, but when it dries, then it looks real snowy and fluffy, okay? So that's how you kind of work with that Snowflake. So here's my container. I've kind of taken the paper off around the edges a little bit, and then I've cut some black cardstock. I'm going to cover all 4 sides plus this part. I want it to all be completely black. And once I've got everything cut with my paper, I'm taking it to my sewing machine. I'm just sewing on it like it's regular fabric. 4 in stitch length. I use all polyester thread. My machine likes it, but you can use cotton thread, and you want anywhere from a size 9 to 11 needle. I use a 10 or 11 needle, but some people that have tried it, here's what it looks like. The needle, the hole's too big, so go down to like a 9, okay? Once all my papers are sewn, I'm set that aside, of course, and then I'm coming in with some not Dixie Belle. I use Dixie Belle chalk paint and Debbie's Design Diary DIY chalk paint. I love the best. This is Debbie's Design Diary. This is called Little Black Dress, and I'm just kind of painting the whole inside and then around the edges, you know, on the outside, just in case anything shows, even though I know I'm covering it with paper. And then, of course, the very tip top here. Just getting it so it matches the candle stand color. If you use like one of those white, then obviously you want to do white, right? White cardstock or something. Now I'm taking the open end of my scissor blades here and just doing a really light scrape along the edges, add a little bit of texture. Usually I'll do it heavier, but just really light. And then this, I will have a link in the description box for you for my blog for a free printable. I'll also have the font listed in case you want to do it yourself. You may have to resize it a little bit. And what I did is I just printed it onto some white cardstock here, and then I'll kind of just distress around the edges a little bit. And then on this little piece here, and this is what's going to kind of fit the center of that little sign I showed you earlier when we first started. But again, you might have to kind of resize it a little bit to fit your project. So go ahead and start gluing things on. I'm using Beacon Fabri-Tac glue, and I'll glue this to the center of our little sign. And then we'll go ahead and get our black cardstock done all the way around. Now you could, of course, elect not to even use paper. You could just paint the whole thing, but I like to add the paper with the sewing and scraping along the edges, just, you know, give it a little kind of farmhouse rustic look, which is the look we're trying to achieve. I'll get my little title on the front of the one piece of cardstock and then, of course, glue that to the box. And now on the center of my candle holder, I'm gluing down a piece of cardboard here. I traced the candle holder and then cut it down to fit and glued that into the center. And so now we have, look at all that gluing surface. And once I get the Beacon Fabri-Tac glue on there, I'll just flip this over and glue to the bottom of our box. And while this is in this direction, I've just taken some white paint mixed with water. I'm taking my fan brush, I kind of tap off the extra, and then I tap my brush to get little splatters all the way around. And now I'm taking some of that little black dress chalk paint, again watered down, same thing. And you can see I splattered inside the box and everything, and I'm just kind of splattering the white cardstock. And then I'm going to use a tumbling tower block game piece from Dollar Tree. I've already painted it black. I'm just going to glue it right down here, kind of right in front of that candlestick, because I'm going to put a fabric bow here, and this tumbling tower block piece will allow me to glue my bow a little more forward. Here's what I'm using, some black and white plaid and a snowflake here. Now this is actually a leftover piece from the second project we're going to be doing, but they do come like this. I'll have a link down below. It's going to be the same website that I will give you the link to the pieces we'll be using from the second project. So I'm just gluing down my bow to that tumbling tower block piece, and then I'm going to glue down my snowflake right in the center of it. And then we're going to start gluing in our snowballs here, and you can see as it dries, don't they look a little bit better? They don't look so mushy and weird. They dry, look fluffier, prettier, kind of cool. So I'm just kind of laying my snowballs here to see where I want them to be, and then, you know, I'll take some out and then just start kind of gluing them into position. But I like how they turned out. It's just, you know, a little bit different, like I said, than doing the salt and glitter method, Mod Podge method, and it's fun. And I think, let's see, what do I have, about 9 or 10 snowballs? I think I made like about 12, but they didn't all fit. But, you know, if you have a bigger container, smaller container, you know the drill, how many snowballs you'll need to fit. Now as I start kind of gluing second layer, I'm kind of paying attention to like point of contact. You see I'm just gluing a little bit, you know, on the back of the box, a little spot in each of the other snowballs, because that's where my snowball I'm going to glue that snowball to. I can say that it's going to touch surfaces with the other one. So, you know, try and pay attention to that as well. And now I'm coming in because I forgot to paint my little sign here. I want it all black, so I'm just kind of painting the back of it and around the edges and everything, and we'll just kind of glue that into position. I'll glue down into the bottom, so if it touches the snowballs down there and just a little bit in the corner, because it will lean against one of the snowballs, and then that makes this snowball project complete. Let's move on to project number 2. For this project, this is a kit from my friend Kim, who's craftingwithkimber.com. I'll leave a link in the description box below for you. The wood kit comes with all these pieces. You have a choice between the wood kit only and the kit with all the accessories. And I love this. It's done on 1/2-inch wood, so it's made to stand up. But I love how wonky it is. You can see like the head is not straight, the heart's wonky. I love it. And this runs about 11¼ inches tall without the hat. And even like the hat, look, I mean, the pieces are just whimsical and cute. And the hat, she's made the pieces on top so it looks all 3D-ish. I love how that is. And then once you add the hat, it adds about another 1.5 inches in height, so you're looking over 13 inches. It's got this thin little piece to kind of go on top and this thinner piece to go underneath right down here like that. Put it in, it leaves you some space, and then you put your little outline piece on top. And then you get the heart that's actually cut out of that space. So that, you know, just for some fun in front of the snowman. And then, of course, we have our little shoes. I love this. I love this. It's our hand-drawn pattern. Here's our little mittens. Cute. We've got a little carrot nose. Love it, love it, love it. We've got little buttons. Even the buttons are a little bit wonky. They're not completely straight circle. You know, I just think that's what makes it rustic and farmhouse and cute. You get a little heart here. And then you get this extra little piece. It's kind of stability for the backside. Even though with the boots it will stand up, you get that stability. And then you also get all these snowflakes with it, which is one of the snowflakes I had left over I used in the first project. So for starting out, these pieces here, plus the other thicker heart, I'm going to cut out of this dot paper, just so I have a little bit of paper in there. And then all these pieces here, we're going to kind of go over the paints we're going to use. This is going to be done in Debbie's Design Diary, DIY, Little Black Dress, chalk paint. Okay, this nose is going to be done in the Dixie Belle Terracotta paint. These pieces plus the bigger heart will be done in the Dixie Belle Barn Red paint after I trace everything around. And these pieces, drop cloth, Dixie Belle drop cloth. We're going to use some wood glue, not for the reason you think. And then Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Swan chalk paint. And the snowflakes will be in the White Swan chalk paint as well. So we're going to start out, and I'll come back to all those other wood glue and stuff in a little bit. We're going to start out by painting our one pieces black. I decided when I painted this, I was just going to paint it flat like I'm doing here. And I thought I wanted a little bit of texture so it looks a little bit more weathered. So I start off by painting everything black. And then I take some of the black chalk paint and add some baking soda to it. And I'll mix it up here a little bit, and you can make this as thick or so as you want, but beware, the thicker you make it, the faster it kind of sets up. I've noticed you got to kind of work a little bit quick. So I kind of made it, you know, a medium to high thickness. And once I do that, I'm taking this little pouncy brush, and then I'm going to pounce it on just in the areas that I want it. It's not going to be all over. Again, wanting it to look weathered. And then I will take my heat tool to it and kind of set it up. And then I'll come back and I'll do that again. And I do that a couple of times. And then this is what it ends up looking like. Almost just that rustic look. So I'm going to do that to all of these pieces that I'm painting black here. So I've got everything painted, you know, the flat paint first, the flat stroke first. And then coming in with that pouncy brush and just pouncing it on kind of in the areas like I said I want. Giving that little bit of definition. You could, of course, skip this part. I just kind of want that weathered, rustic look to it. Here's like a mitten. This is what this looks like. I think it's fun, but, you know, your choice. Then I'm going to come in and kind of trace out my pieces that I need on the dot paper. And you don't even have to use paper. I just wanted that extra little bit of texture, of course. Just doing a few pieces, and then I'll paint all these pieces in that barn red. And I'm just painting it just flat. You know, I'm not going to add any texture to these. Okay, I love this barn red because then once you sand it, too, it kind of takes on a softer kind of barn red shade. It's kind of a neat color here. Again, that's a Dixie Belle chalk paint. And then here's my snowflakes already done, and you can see the texture on them. I painted them with the white and then took the pouncy brush to them. I didn't add baking soda in it. I just pouncy brush and heat set in between. Okay, now we're painting the back of the snowman. I'm painting that in the White Swan chalk paint, and then I will just go ahead and paint that one little straight piece of wood too that's going to kind of be our stability piece. That is by itself in the White Swan chalk paint. Now we're on the front. I'm starting out with the Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color drop cloth, and I'm painting it all the way around, just on the front. We're not worrying about the back or anything like that. We're just going to do a little technique here. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it before, but, you know, we have new viewers sometimes, and it's fun to do something new. I want to crackle this, and I went to get my crackle stuff out. You can buy crackle. It was all dried up and didn't work. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to the glue method of crackle. So you want that darker coat first, like you do a normal crackle, and then I'm coming in with the wood glue. Now you can use Elmer's glue as well, but for me personally, I find that the wood glue crackles better. And the thinner you get it in areas, the smaller the crackle, the thicker you get it, the larger the crackle. And now I know wood glue kind of has a yellow tinge, and you're going to kind of see that when you use a wood glue. You're going to kind of see that yellow tint to it versus Elmer's glue where you get more of the white tint to it. But I'm okay with that on this because it just adds more color. So once you get it painted on, I'm just taking my heat tool on a low setting. You can see how kind of quickly it dries, literally in just a minute or so, and get that all nice and ready to go. And then I'm going to come over that with the white swan chalk paint and then paint the entire thing. And it's going to look kind of lumpy and bumpy as you paint over it because of the wood glue. But for some reason, once you go to like heat set it and stuff, it just kind of flattens out. I don't know what it is. It just works. So as you can see, it's already starting to crackle, and I haven't even used my heat tool yet. Here comes the heat tool, and look at the magic. I love it. Look at those large cracks. It's good for my crafting soul. I love how it turns out. Easy. See, look at that. So yeah, I know you see that little bit of yellow, but that's okay. We'll cover it up. Not all of it. We're still going to be able to see it some. So I'm bringing in that Snowflake again. Now, I am sorry because I swore I hit the record button. This is what it looks like. I'm not completely done with it. You can still see the cracks through it. I'm going to flip it over and show you on the back what I did. So you're going to, again, like we did the first project, start with water. And then I'm using the sifter part of this, and I'm just going to sift it on. Okay? So I get a nice light layer. And then in between coats of sifting, I'm spraying it again. Then I'm going to sift a little bit more. All right. And then I'm going to come in for the water again, spraying it on. Remember, that's what sets it kind of in between. And this is what it looks like. As you saw on the front, this is where we're at. Now I'm coming in and I'm spraying the water again on the front. And now I'm going to kind of dump it on instead of sifting it, so I get great big chunks of the snowflake on there. And then once I get where I want it, of course, then I come back in to completely set it with the water, and then I just let it dry. I actually took my heat tool for a couple of minutes and just kind of set it because I wasn't sure if it would melt it or what it would do. And it's okay for just a couple minutes, and then I let it dry for a little bit and moved on to some other stuff. And this, look how luscious that looks with that little bit of chunky snowflake on there. So now I'm just coming in with everything that I painted. I'll just show a little bit here. You guys know how to sand. I'm bringing in kind of that rustic look, going around the edges and sanding with the 80 grit sandpaper here around all my pieces just to further that rustic look. Red's done. We're coming into some black. It really just enhances it and just kind of gives it definition when you kind of sand around the edges. And then, of course, I'm coming in with what? My 3 little pieces that I cut out for hearts and stuff like that and for the hat. And I'm just coming in with my sewing machine and sewing around the edges just to bring in that nice, soft, subtle texture that I love to do here. And, of course, you don't have to do this at all if you don't want to. I always say that. But here's what it looks like. And I'm going ahead and sewing on the back where I went ahead, and I don't think I said that. The back of the snowman, I went ahead and traced it with white cardstock because I want to cover the back, and I'll show you why in a minute. And so I'm coming around with the sewing machine and sewing it so it kind of matches the sewing I did on the front. And then the open end of my scissor blades, and I'm coming around all my little pieces here and just doing a little bit of heavier scraping along the sides just to give it a little bit more texture. And of course, even on the back, I just like my back finished off. But again, I'll show you why when we get to it, why I chose to cover the back side. With this. It's going to kind of cover up some mess we're going to make back there. Now I'm coming in. I'm going to do a little shading. I'm sorry this is a little bit blurry. My camera didn't focus. I've got a little paint on one tip of a flat brush here, and then I'm adding water, and I dip my brush in water, and I just kind of come along the edges. It's kind of half paint and the other half in water, and I just shade along it. Just see, dip a corner in and then dip your brush into the water and shade it. And it might look a little heavy, but that's because it's wet. When it dries, it's going to look a little more translucent. And if it does tend to look a little bit heavier to you, you can just dip your paintbrush back in the water and then go back over again. Like it looks a little heavier there to me. You know, so I'll come back, wipe my brush off, go in the water and come back in and just kind of fan it out a little bit. It just gives you that little bit of shading to kind of make your pieces pop. And now what I'm doing, even though I have some wood snowflakes, I opted not to put snowflakes on top of the mittens because I thought it just looked a little too heavy. So I'm coming in with a small paintbrush and I'm just going to paint on some snowflakes here and just make them fun and whimsical. You know, I'm not making it all the same length or anything like that. And then I'm coming in with this ball burnisher. You can pick these up at Dollar Tree. It has like one large end, one small end, although now I think there's some with just only one ball on one end. And I dip it into paint with the larger ball, and then I just kind of make a dot at the end of our snowflakes. It just kind of gives a little bit of country charm there. Just like that, really easy and perfect. And then we'll go in and we'll start gluing our few pieces of paper on our hearts. Just like that, and then gluing our little piece of paper on our little part of our hat here. And then once I've got that glued on, I'm taking the skinnier heart here and I'm adding some glue around the edges. Now I can't quite get in that dip in the center of the heart, so I'll come onto this right here, add a little bit of glue just along the edge, just along the edge. Remember, turn our snowman over and pop that heart right into place. Just like that. And now we've got kind of that recess area, and then we'll go ahead and place the outline heart over the top. Perfect. All right, now I'm coming in with the watered down white swan chalk paint, dabbing off the excess and then tapping my fan brush. I like to use a fan brush here. I have more control over it. Some people use a toothbrush. Some people use bigger brushes. I just like a fan brush personally. So I'm doing the darker pieces with the white polka dots. And a little bit up here because I want to get that heart that's on the snowman. Then I'm going to come in with that little black dress chalk paint watered down, and I'm going to splatter that on the snowman area because you'll be able to see that better, of course, than the same white paint that we used to paint the top with of the top of the crackle of the snowman. Now I'm coming in with that ball burnisher and I'm adding just some fun dots and placement here, just adding in a little bit more character wherever I want it to be. Even though I know we splattered it, I'm adding in some bigger dots for the funness of it. And then coming in with that Saint paintbrush that we did the snowflakes with and just adding some little lines here, some definition, just some character. You could do little squiggle lines. You can use like the Sharpie markers. I don't have a white Sharpie marker, but the Sharpie markers to do that with gives you a little bit better control. Just adding just some character to it. And now I've got a piece of black wire here. I think this is 18 gauge. 20 gauge will probably work fine. About 8 inches here. And I want to curl some wire. I've got one done here, 2 pieces. Just kind of curling it around a thick handled paintbrush. Straighten out the edges a little bit. And then I've got 2 pieces of kind of like mesh ribbon here. And I've already got one done. I'm going to add this wire on the back of the snowman. So I'm adding some glue and I'm going to add the wire there. And then add that mesh right over the top and use my little silicone brush to glue that wire down and hold it in place. And then once that's set and stable, I've got a piece of cardstock here that I'm gluing on the back of that to cover all that mess up. And we're going to come in and I'm going to kind of glue my hat together here, all the pieces that go together, and it starts looking really cool, all 3D and all our little splatters and dots and squiggle lines. And once that's glued together, we're going to go ahead and get our feet on. So I'm going to, of course, put my snowman up right how it should be and figure out which position my feet need to be, or my shoes, I guess, and get those glued right into position, taking careful that I don't get any glue on the part that might show from the back side. Just need, the Beacon Fabri-Tac glue works perfectly wonderful here. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue the hat on in the top. You can put the hat whatever position you want. I'm going to slant it just a little bit cattywamper so it goes with the rest of the whimsy. And now I'm using a flat end of a paintbrush. I like to do a flat end versus a round end, and dipping it into some paint and then putting that onto the snowman to make 2 little eyes. And now I've got some Distress Oxide ink and warm lipstick. You could do like a pink paint or something. And I've got a little ink dauber here, just kind of checking where my nose is going to go. And I'm going to just make some, daub on some little round pink cheeks here. Perfectly cute. And then now we're on the back of our snowman. We want to attach our mittens. So I'm adding a little glue here, putting the wire in, a little more glue on top. Same thing I did on the mittens. This might be easier to see, and adding some of that mesh ribbon, and then I'll smush it down. So this is exactly what I did on the mitten, but this is a little up closer to camera so you can see it. Glue, add the wire, little more glue on top, and then add the piece of mesh. The mesh helps the glue kind of squeeze through the holes, and I think it gives it a more firm, steadier hold. And then use that silicone brush to push in position. I've got some glue on the back of my cardstock piece. Now you know why I traced the back of the snowman, so that I could cover all this mess up. Now we're on the front. Everything's set up so I can move my little hands on that black wire and put it into position I want and make it look really, really cute. And then we're going to go ahead and add our little buttons into place here. This is such a cute kit, you guys, and it's such a reasonable price. It's under $20 for just the wood kit by itself, you know, not including shipping, but I don't think the shipping's that expensive as well. So if you want to get one, I would press that link and get on over and get yourself one. So buttons glued into place, glued my nose into place. I'm going to add one of the larger hearts to the larger snowflakes to that large heart. We had kind of extra. Set that aside, and I've got just some wintry snow, you know, greenery here I'm going to add into position here. It looks cute without it, but I just kind of wanted to add something else too. And I've got like a 1-inch strip of ribbon here, or fabric, that I've ripped, made into a bow. Glue that into position, and then I'm going to wrinkle and crinkle everything where I want it and glue that into position, because it just gives it a more cuter look than just kind of hanging down in the center of the snowman. Cute, cute, cute. And then I've got kind of a red and brown twine bow you can get at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue that into position over the fabric bow, and then again glue my little tails into position. So those will be exactly where I want them to be. Love it. And then I've got a couple of little rusty bells here I'm gluing at the top of that winter greenery. And then I've got a smaller snowflake for the hat, gluing that on. And then I've got a little piece of muslin fabric here I've cut and ripped, did a little sewing around it, and I'm using my Distress Oxide ink and Vintage Photo and kind of distressing that up a little bit. Michael's Clickable stamps here, I'll have a link in the description box for you. VersaFine ink, I love it, and just stamping on the word Frosty here. Now I know we always kind of Frosty is with Christmas, but Frosty's a snowman, and it's the shortest word I can find to fit so you could see it on my snowman. I'll glue that into position and glue the little heart to the left here, and then I'm going to add a few more snowflakes spilling out and kind of slanted up against that little recess of our heart there. 3 little snowflakes, perfectly cute. Love how they kind of spill out of that. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece on the back. You can see Frosty standing up perfectly fine, but I'll still go ahead and glue this there for stability. Once I do that, I'm going to use a spray glitter off camera. This is called Glitter Dust. It's by a brand called Thermoweb that I've used for years in scrapbooking. And I know the last couple of years I've been advocating this one brand from Walmart, but I think they stopped selling it. It's the exact same, smells the same. It's a clear spray with a really fine glitter mist. This one's silver. They have different colors. I'll have a few links down in the description box for you in case one is sold out. You've got another place to go. But once I do that, that makes this project complete. So I really hope you enjoyed both of these projects today. Remember, I'll have the link down in the description box to this cute, cute snowman, and then a link just separate to snowflakes that I've used, the snowflake designs, in case you want just some snowflakes for your winter projects. Please leave me a comment down below. I'm really interested to know if any of you really want to go buy the snowman kit and do one for yourself. Please give this video a thumbs up. It really, really, really helps my channel to grow. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, before you click off, make sure you hit that red subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. It's a trustworthy statement to say that Jesus came into the world to save us, to save those who needed mercy, grace, and forgiveness. He came to seek and save those that were lost, those who needed hope, those who needed a future, those who needed something in their life to look forward to. So, where are you in your life? Do you need a hope? Do you need something to look forward to? It's easy to say that if you've never had the chance to hear about a hope that can bring joy into your life, Jesus can be your hope. It's as easy as opening your heart and asking Him to come into your life, forgive you, and guide you into an everlasting future. He will never leave your side, and He will help you to live the life you were meant to live. I urge you not to wait, as tomorrow is never promised. And so goes the same with those of us who are already with Jesus in our lives. He extends His mercy, grace, and forgiveness. He seeks out the best for us and saves us from things that are not meant to be. He heals us when the time is right, so never give up in asking. He has given us a hope and a future and something to look forward to. We are His children that He has formed from the very beginning. He has our heart and will never leave our side. He cares for us, and it should always be our desire to spend time with Him so that we hear Him whenever He leads us into what He has for us. Our ultimate goal should be to know Him, the power of His resurrection, and be conformed to His likeness. Our life we live should always have a desire to be closer to Him. We should strive to have joy in our faith, have confidence in the one who abounds in us, and have love for the one who loves us. So stand firm in His Spirit. Strive together with Him to have a better life of what He has for you. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.